Think about the classic trap that most app founders are stuck in. Build an app, ship it, and then hope people will download it. But Connor, the guy I talked to today, is doing something completely different. He's 23 years old, he's making over $1 million a year, and he's done it by completely flipping how app developers think about distribution. His main app payout is pulling in $45,000 a month, and almost all of that is coming from one place, influencers. But here's the thing, he actually doesn't pay the influencers to make posts. Instead, he gives them equity and then builds the app specifically for their audience.
You know, I built this app specifically around his audience. Like, before we had an idea of what we were going to build, like, I was like, okay, this is, you know, what his audience is looking for. I actually went through a list of like maybe 5 ideas of different apps, and I made some like Figma mockups for them. I was like, which one of these do you think like resonates the most with your audience? Because I think these all have potential to convert off of it.
Of course, this is the complete opposite of how most people approach influencer partnerships. You build the app first, then try to convince an influencer to promote it. Connor asked the influencer what their audience wants and then builds it. And because the influencer now has equity in the app, they actually care about making it succeed. And so the videos they make are getting high views and convert well.
You're going to actually find that these influencers you're working with are very entrepreneurial. Like, they can be gritty and get stuff done.
But here's the problem. How do you even reach these influencers in the first place? Most founders make the same mistake. They slide into DMs and it doesn't work. But Connor figured out something way better.
There's absolutely no reason to try to DM these larger creators. Like, it was funny, I emailed them in maybe April, and just like a week ago, one of these influencers responded like, hey, like, you know, just remembered about this email, hopped on a call with them. Like, I explained to them like, oh, this is, you know, this is your account, this isn't what I think we could build, and they seemed super interested in it. So now, like, that's moving forward. So I would say email is much better.
So now he's got the influencer, he's got the audience, he's got the equity deal, but how does he know which app idea will actually work? It seemed almost too good to be true how every launch seems to go so well. So I asked if he uses any kind of system, and his answer was surprisingly specific.
I'd say like there is an app already out there that works for any influencer. A lot of these influencers are already getting brand deals from apps.
So in this episode, Connor breaks down everything from how to outreach to influencers to actually get responses, how to build an app that's designed for their audience, not the general market, and to the daily habits he started from 0 all the way to his current 1 million ARR. Let's dive in. This is the Super Well podcast, and I'm Joseph Choi, founder of Consumer Club. The members in the Consumer Club Discord and the founders I interview on the pod build apps at a median of about $1 million ARR. In my conversations with dozens of these founders every week, one thing I've noticed is most of them A/B test their paywalls to increase their conversion rates and make more money. Now, most people know that one of the best ways to A/B test paywalls is Superwall. But one thing you might not know is Superwall has a lot of data on the thousands of apps that use their paywalls. So recently they actually put together a tool that takes 422 profitable paywall experiments and put those into a paywall experiment generator where you can upload a screenshot of your own paywall and it'll give you an experiment idea to increase your revenue. You can use it for free at paywallexperiments.com. All right, let's get into the pod. I guess first question, what app are you building and how much money does it make?
So I've got right now 4 or 5 apps that I like am making money from. They're kind of all over the place. The one that I mostly like publicly talk about is the payout app. The rest of them I actually keep like pretty much private, just because I have partners on those apps and they prefer to keep things private. You know, I was debating whether or not I should start talking about what they are exactly, but I think I'm trying to get a couple of them sold, and once I sell them, then I'll talk more about them. This main app is the payout app, the one that you can kind of see right there on that Twitter post that you've got pulled up. It's basically like a class action lawsuit discovery app. There's like a couple of them out there. It's nothing too crazy unique. I'd say like the only thing that really differentiates my app from the other apps is that it's like very private. Like all the information, like we don't store any of it, we don't save any of it. I don't know if the other apps are doing that. I assume they are. Also, we have the ability to let people like mail in like their own forms if they're interested in that, which I think some people might be.
Interesting. And how much does this make monthly?
It's, you know, rapidly growing, and I've just like these past couple of days have been setting up like a UGC campaign through SideShift, shout out. And yeah, so that's starting up. But right now, off of just influencers, it's doing around 45,000 a month.
Wow. Just from influencers. So are you doing like TikTok and Instagram?
Yeah, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. A lot of the times it'll be like cross posting these influencer posts. So one of the influencers and like my partner for this app, his name's Casper, and he has been driving like insane traffic to the app. I think he's driven probably around 35,000 clicks to the website, more honestly. And that's just clicks without like tracking any of our organic install volume from his videos alone.
Interesting. So that's like link in bio clicks.
It'll be link in bio or the ManyChat integration, like the drop a comment and we'll send you some type thing. Yeah, surprisingly effective.
Yeah. That's interesting because I feel like a lot of organic social marketing is very untrackable and it's like hard to do attribution. But if you do ManyChat automations, are you able to see what percentage of your revenue is coming from ManyChat versus just regular like organic influencer marketing?
Yeah, definitely. Everything that we do, if there's the potential for a link that gets set up with the custom product page and the app store so we can get all the analytics on it. It's like actually surprisingly even, I would say, between the ManyChat integration and like the people who see it and they go and download it organically. That was something I was surprised about. Like a lot of the times we'll see the numbers look very, very similar for days that like posts go up for those integrations versus organic.
Yeah. I think you're one of the first people I've talked to that cross post to Facebook video. I mean, a lot of people talk about Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. Those are like the big three. But then, of course, there's still Facebook video. And if you, for some reason, have the Facebook app still installed on your phone, if you go onto the video tab, there's a lot of views on those videos, actually. Do you feel like it's an underpriced channel or do you just cross post there because why not?
We cross post there, I guess, mostly because why not? But like these influencers do have followers on these platforms. It's kind of like a might as well. I don't think they're driving most of the revenue, but if the influencer has a Facebook account and now you can, when you upload a reel on Instagram, you can have it post to all of your platforms like automatically. There's no reason to like not post on Facebook.
Interesting. I see. So can we look at some of these TikToks?
Yeah, let me send you a link to one of the videos that he's made recently.
So is it true that I can make $1,000 from your lawsuit? Yeah, and some people can make up to $5,000 from it. Whoa, do you know how I can apply for this too? Fine, but you didn't hear this from me. First, you go to this app, find the Temu lawsuit. There's a bunch of other ones on here too. Click claim, see how long you have to file, and if you need proof. Then click get started. Fill out a simple form, and once the settlement ends, you'll get your payout from Temu and any other company you applied for. Just comment claim and I'll send you the app. Hey, Temu is...
Interesting. What types of influencers are you having make these videos for you?
So Casper is one of my friends. So I like am partnered with him on this app. He has this, if you look at his account, he has a very similar format that he does for a lot of his videos. And he gets pretty good views on these videos here. So I'm not really, I guess, responsible for coming up with the formats. That's kind of his job. But as far as like the influencers that we're reaching out to for this specific product is like, we're looking for influencers who make these kind of finance related, but I wouldn't consider it like a finance content. I don't really know exactly what to describe it, but it's like kind of like life hacky finance savings type influencers.
Right. Yeah.
There's a handful of them. And because he's been in this like space for a bit, making this type of content, he's like very familiar with a lot of these content creators.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it's like financial life hacks, like Costco secret savings hack, Amazon Prime Day savings hack. That's all about like how to save or make money or do side hustles. And then that video that we just watched got 288,000 views, which is kind of in line with the views that he normally gets. So yeah.
And that's not the first video that he's posted. He's posted a good amount of them. Some of them, got like 45,000 views, didn't perform super well. Yeah, I think that was the best one. Actually, that was the most recent one. There's also, his YouTube channel. I know that video did really good on YouTube as well.
I see. Yeah, so you cross-posted the same stuff on YouTube Shorts, Facebook, TikTok. Is there a specific channel or is there a platform that outperforms usually, or are they all around similar?
Yeah, I'd see that as like Instagram is definitely performing better than TikTok. YouTube, I'd say it's about the same. Like I'm looking at that reel now on YouTube and it got 206,000 views. And I think that actually, it's hard to tell because a lot of the YouTube, the call to action is not like through ManyChat. So we can't really see how many clicks it's driving, but it did seem like the day that he uploaded it to YouTube, it performed, or we had like a lot higher traffic for downloads.
So in the video, he basically starts out with,
settlement ends, you'll get your payout from Temu and any other company you applied for. Just comment claim and I'll send you the app.
So that's the ManyChat part where he says, here, this is what the app is. It's interesting because it's like, it's not that hard because he says the name of the app and shows it in the video, and he shows you like downloading it from the App Store. But then I guess people are just kind of lazy. They just want to know like exactly what the name of the app or the link of it. So the call to action is just comment the word claim and I'll send you the app. And then there's 9,400 people who've commented, or maybe it's like half that because he replies to all of the comments as well. So it's like 4,000 people that are getting the link to the download. And then in the beginning of the video, it's like a skit.
No, that's one thing about his content style that definitely like was not very intuitive for me. It's like I see it as like it's relatively processed, has a script. It's not necessarily like comedy or surprising. It's a pretty straightforward ad, if you ask me. And like while I don't resonate with that type of content, like clearly he's built like a successful, influencer audience with it, so performs well on his channel. Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, like I definitely think I've learned a lot about like the influencer space through working with Casper on this, and it's something that I think like I see so many indie developers on like Twitter and whatever, Reddit and all that, talking about like launching these apps and building these apps. And I definitely think that like these indie developers need to just start like spam DMing influencers. I reached out to Casper before I was friends with him, and I had a mutual connection. And he was like, "Oh, like I have this friend, he's an influencer, like you should talk to him." I was like, "All right, sure." And I built this app specifically around his audience before we had an idea of what we were going to build. Like I was like, okay, this is what his audience is looking for. I actually went through a list of like maybe 5 ideas of different apps, and I made some like Figma mockups for them. And I was like, which one of these do you think like resonates the most with your audience? Because I think these all have potential to convert off of it. And then eventually we narrowed in on one of them, and we said, all right, we're gonna build this one. And I definitely think that's like what indie devs should be doing, because there's so many influencers out there who are like trying to figure out how they can build something that has value rather than just doing brand deals. And I like this is super appealing to, I think, most influencers.
Yeah. Do you know what his monetization was like before partnering with you on this app? Was he just doing like link in bio brand deals basically?
Yeah, it'd be like they'd pay him to post and then put the link in the bio, and he would get maybe some amount for the post and like an affiliate commission.
So a little bit rev share, affiliate, a little bit of brand deals. But I've noticed that theme as well. Like a lot of influencers are pretty under monetized, or they're making like decent money, but it feels like a hamster wheel because it's not stable. And a lot of people, I think in the dev world, don't quite understand that psychology, because as a dev, you're usually like working at a company and you have a stable income, and you actually want the opposite. You want the freedom. But on the other side, as a creator, you have the freedom, but you also have to like eat what you kill. You don't just get money for doing your work. Like you have to chase after these brand deals, negotiate all the time, and it's not consistent. So it's actually a great value proposition to influencers to reach out to them and propose like an equity deal. Do you partner with different influencers for each app that you do and have equity partnerships with different influencers for each app?
Yeah, right now I'm like in the process of building out more apps with influencers. And yeah, like different influencers depending on their size and how complicated the app is, like I'll have different kind of structures for that. But yeah, like every app that I've built basically is like I'm working with a different partner on that app.
That's a really interesting approach. I feel like a lot of people struggle with the very first step of just reaching out to influencers and figuring out how to get noticed. Because if they have, 2.7 million followers, they probably get a lot of inbound. So how do you think that you stood out when you initially reached out to Casper? Because you said that you kind of create a bunch of Figma mockups and asked like, hey, which one do you think you would want to do? Is there anything else that you feel like made you stand out? And then like, how did that conversation go?
Yeah, so for Casper, we had a mutual connection. So I didn't actually build out those Figma mockups until we had already had like our first kind of FaceTime call. I think it was on FaceTime. But for these other influencers that I've reached out to, like I'd say if you can find an email address, that's easily the best. If they don't have an agency and they're managing their own emails, I I've seen like much better response rates from those people. Like recently, like it was funny, I emailed them in maybe April, and just like a week ago, one of these influencers responded like, "Hey, like, just remembered about this email, hopped on a call with them. Like I explained to them like, oh, this is your account. This isn't what I think we could build." And they seemed super interested in it. So now like that's moving forward. So I would say email is much better. Like there's no reason to message these guys. They have notifications off. They get like a million notifications a month. There's absolutely no reason to try to DM these larger creators.
Most of these viral organic strategies come back to finding and tweaking formats that are already working. And it's not that hard to find viral TikToks. You can just scroll the For You page. But it is hard to find viral TikToks that actually promote apps in a subtle way. So a consumer club member actually built a tool that does that. It's called Spy Talk. Basically, it brain rot scrolls TikTok for you and then finds TikToks in your niche that promote apps. Let me show you here. Spy Talk found this viral outlier slideshow in the love and relationships niche that promotes the lovers widget. So it shows you the exact slides, the engagement metrics, the AI tags that describe what kind of video it is, and then you can bookmark and save them for inspiration. Yes, this is a sponsored segment. I partnered with Spy Talk to bring this tool to the Consumer Club and the Superwall audiences. It's used by top consumer app teams like Amo, Voodoo, 11 Labs to fuel the creative research for their organic social growth. This isn't one of those tools that promises you'll generate thousands of videos with zero effort and just go viral overnight. But in my opinion, creative research is the bedrock of all organic growth strategy. So I actually highly recommend spytalk.com. Okay, so look for the email address, and especially if it's a unmanaged influencer that has like a Gmail or like a personal company. Rather than a
definitely
management company.
Also on YouTube, if they have YouTube as well as Instagram or Facebook or whatever you're reaching out on YouTube, you can usually find their email address. Like in this case, you're looking at Casper. He has like a partnerships email address there. But if you can't find it on their Instagram, a lot of the times it will be like part of their YouTube somewhere in there. Yeah, if you see like that view email address, you have to do this little CAPTCHA, and you'll actually be able to see like what their email is. In this case, he already had it somewhere else, but that's like a big trick to try to find that email.
That's really good because like this also like this is a little bit alpha because it rewards the manual reach out because of the CAPTCHA. There's probably fewer bots crawling all over YouTube trying to find email addresses and spam. So if you can just manually find a creator and then just do the little CAPTCHA and then find the email, that's actually pretty good. Underrated channel probably to find creators.
Yeah. And I think like it's one of those things that like it's going to be a volume game. Like you're going to reach out to a bunch of people and not everyone's going to respond. But it is one of those things that is, if you partner with the creator, you're pretty much instantly going to win. I have another friend who recently launched an app called RidePal, and it's doing super great. I think he launched with an influencer, an Instagram influencer, and even on their first day, I think they had like, I don't remember exactly how many downloads, but it was like over 10,000 downloads, I'm pretty sure. And they, last I checked, had like tens of thousands of active users on this app, and a large portion of their downloads coming from these influencers that they partner with before they even launch the app, and building some sort of equity deal with them because it's just the fastest way to get off the ground.
Yeah, it's like such a great win-win. And I feel like this like shift in mindset from, hey, I want to build a startup to I want to build a business, like enables this business model. Because I feel like a lot of the old advice that people would give in the startup industry is like, oh, don't give equity to an influencer because eventually you're going to outgrow them and you want to scale to, billions in valuation. But for these apps, you're not really trying to go for a unicorn. You're just making a useful app that solves a problem. And it's completely reasonable to partner in an equity way with influencers.
Yeah, and another thing is if these influencers have audiences, like if you want to scroll, probably down, or maybe up, I don't know. Yeah, you'll see this guy here that has driving some good views. Yeah, one MTB. He has a decent channel, and like to get to 100,000 followers on Instagram, like you have to be an intelligent person. Like you're not just gonna there's gonna be the occasional person who stumbles upon random luck, but like you're gonna actually find that these influencers you're working with are very entrepreneurial. Like they can be gritty and get stuff done. Like I definitely don't see it as like one of those things where it's like, like I'm just giving this equity away, whatever. It's like, no, this is like a partner and like they're going to contribute and be like valuable. It's not like you're just losing it to the void by any means.
Right. That's interesting. How do you stand out as the dev side? So if you're the one that's vibe coding apps or just, developing the app, like from their perspective, from the influencer's perspective, it sounds cool, but I get a feeling that there's going to be more devs that want to partner with creators now and in the future. I feel like we're still very early to it because the sentiment is generally not quite there yet. But are you afraid that other devs are reaching out, or are you just does it just not matter? You just like,
There are a lot of influencers out there. I'd say if you want to stand out as a dev, now it's easier for me, right? Because I have some sort of track record. If I reach out to an influencer and I say like, hey, this is an influencer I built an app with recently, like here's some numbers, they're gonna be like, wow, I want those numbers. So it's easier as you build out that portfolio, and it just compounds eventually. Like it takes time. Like you have to build some apps, maybe by yourself. Like I built apps before doing this influencer strategy. It took a couple years to get to an app that was like able to support myself and like continue doing that. And having a portfolio of apps like that you can show, like even if they're not making that much money, you can like there will definitely be influencers who just are interested in having an app because like who doesn't want an app? Like anyone who has a phone, like they use apps, like it's just cool to have an app. So
yeah,
I think make sure you're not like timid about it too. Like you want to be confident, like you're going to build them a good app.
yeah.
I wouldn't go into it being like, oh, like it might do well. It's like, no, like you know it's gonna do well, and going with that attitude.
Right. I think a lot of that confidence comes from a very structured, thoughtful ideation process. Because if you just go in with a random app idea that you don't really know is going to work, then you're not going to be able to actually be confident. But if you go in with, hey, I actually know this market, I can see the audience that this person has, and I think that this product would mesh really well with this audience, you're going to be able to credibly like be a lot more confident. So do you have an ideation framework or how to think about app ideas that match well with influencers?
I'd say like there is an app already out there that works for any influencer. A lot of these influencers are already getting brand deals from apps. So I would say like you could ask them what apps are reaching out to you. That's a pretty basic one. They'll probably say these are the apps and be like, let's build one of those. Another thing is you can, go look at, in that category. So like when I was looking around for the payout app, I was looking around on the App Store. I was like, okay, what's doing well? I was looking around on TikTok and I was like, what kind of trends am I seeing on TikTok? And then from there, I'll come up with maybe, a handful of different apps. I'm like, oh, like another app that I was debating building was like kind of daily. There's like a lot of these daily quote widget type apps out there. And I was thinking like it would be interesting if there was like something like that for like financial advice. Like I know a lot of people, they like subscribe to that kind of content on YouTube, Instagram, where it's like, oh, like here's like some Roth IRA savings thing. And then it could be like, oh, like little daily things that's like, oh, here's a way you can prepare for your future, something like that. So there's a bunch of different random kind of concepts that I would come up with for like, saving money for this instance. And I just picked one of them that I thought was trending well. And I was like, oh, we can do this.
Interesting. So you look at trends that are on TikTok to kind of get a sense for what people are talking about in the market. And you could probably create an app idea out of that. And then you also just look at what's on the App Store making money already because, it's validated already. You don't need to come up with a brand new app idea.
Yeah, I'd say if you're trying to build, some billion-dollar app like Strava or something like that, like you're going to need your own idea. But if your goal is to make something that will give you the ability to do whatever you want, like, not have to have a job, you don't have to invent anything new. Like you can see what's out there and make your own like combination of different apps and stuff like that.
Were you coding before this? Like, are you a developer?
Yeah, so I went to school for computer science. I had built all my previous apps like in Swift, just like pre-AI, like just me, Stack Overflow, and way too much time. So yeah, I'm definitely not like completely reliant on AI to code. But these days I actually do like no coding at all. It's actually kind of like slightly frustrating because I'm like, okay, you know what? Like I'm gonna try to build something in a new language I've never used before. Like right now I'm building a workout kind of app. It's like a calisthenics body weight workout app. One of my friends convinced me to try to use Swift UI, and there's so many problems with Swift UI, and you could say like, oh, like I don't know what I'm doing, and that's definitely true. But also, even as I dig into it, I'm like, oh, like I feel like I'm so dependent on AI. So there'll be like this tiny little thing. I'm like, oh, like I know exactly how I do this in UI kit. And then I have to try to still guesswork my way to that. Yeah, bunch of random little things I could think of that are specific. But
Yeah.
so yeah, I
What?
guess that's a long answer to the question. Like, yes, I've spent a lot of time like coding.
Yeah. What's your vibe coding stack now for building apps?
Right now, I'm like right on the fence of whether I like Claude Code or Cursor more. So a lot of the times, like I kind of just arbitrarily choose one that I'm going to use, but it's mostly Cursor. That's really it, Cursor.
Cursor. And then are you making these apps in React Native then?
Depends on the app. So for the payout app that was built in React Native, the app I'm working on now is built in Swift UI, and a lot of my previous apps have been built in UI kit.
Do you have opinions going forward on what languages to use for building these apps, or does it just depend on what app it is?
I prefer Swift because I think it just feels very high quality. Like the apps that you output, like they've done a really good job building these frameworks that everything is just very reactive and smooth. I know you can do it in React Native, but I think that would take a lot of time to dive into. And I've seen that pretty much at maximum, 15% of our revenue will come from Android, which you could say is pretty good. I would say I'd still rather do it in Swift, honestly, and build it just for iOS. So yeah, these days my goal is going to be to build them all in Swift.
No, I like that. Yeah, and then it keeps it high quality, like super iOS, Apple native.
And to elaborate on that, I definitely think it's based on the complexity of the app. If I'm building like a very simple app, like this app is relatively simple. I like built it in around 2 weeks. And I think if that's the case, sure, I'll do it in React Native. Why not? If I know it's going to be a pretty iterative process and I'm going to spend a lot of time building it, then I'm definitely going to build it in a language I'm more familiar with.
So now that you've partnered with a few apps, with a few influencers to build apps in different niches, do you feel like you have a little more leverage to own 100% of the apps that you build in the future and start paying influencers instead of partnering with equity?
I'd say my take is if you have the capital to pay the influencers, it makes most sense to do that. Like going forward, I likely will be not partnering with influencers anymore just because I have a couple apps now that are doing enough revenue that I can pay influencers rather than partnering with them. Especially like I'm thinking I'm gonna go and build like a full app studio and like hire, engineers and distribution people in the next like year or so. So I would not be like really partnering with any influencers for specific apps. Now, if there's like an influencer that is also really good at distribution and like managing these UGC campaigns and stuff like that, that's like a completely different story. But just like for an influencer for the sake of them driving sales through just their account, like I think once you get to a point where you have enough like capital, then you might as well just pay them.
And like how much would you pay them at that point?
Depends on the influencer. They might have somewhere between 500,000 to like 1 million followers, and we're paying somewhere around like $1,500 for that
Per video?
Yeah, we are getting like a good rate because my partner has like some connections, so I'd say like I'd be willing probably to spend like a couple $1,000s on that. And I know some other people that are doing influencer campaigns for other apps, and some of them are spending like $4,000 or $5,000 on these influencers that have 2-3 million followers. So you don't want to go into it and spend like a couple $1,000s on an influencer that like doesn't convert in your like niche that you're trying to sell your product in. So
that makes sense. How do you figure out like how the conversions are? Are you just asking the influencer like, hey, I saw you did this brand deal. Did
sure.
Get ROI?
Yeah, like you can ask how much that is. A lot of it, like for me, is like my own, I guess, sense of like looking at the video. I mean, like this is a good video. Like if you, like this guy, like you can see his content's like high quality, and the way he integrates the videos, the app into the videos is like very seamless. And he has like a dedicated, like a very deep audience. Like they like him for who he is, and they like him for his content. It's not just like very shallow audience, which I think is like super valuable. If you can find an influencer where like, the people are like asking him about their family and their wedding date and all sorts of stuff like that. Like, you know that this person's gonna be able to convert, you know?
Right. And you determine that by looking at the comment section on their
Yeah, definitely.
popular videos.
Yeah. Like, you'll see like these people are they commenting just like, wow, amazing? Or are they commenting like kind of more high quality comments?
Like this is a good one. Like this, he's like, oh, mountain biking hacks in 2025, and he just shows a bunch of hacks, and then the top comment is or one of the top comments is like, do square wheels. It's like they're kind of like interacting and telling him like, oh, I want to see this type of content, implying that like they're, they actually want to see more of his content, and they're like kind of a dedicated viewer, not just like random people
Yeah,
that
definitely.
shows up on the For You page. That's a good way to assess. But
Yeah,
then
again,
I
like,
feel like a lot of times when it comes time to actually promoting a brand, their video that they create for the brand deal usually will get fewer views than their normal videos. Do you basically just combat that with ManyChat and like do the engagement hack, or are you trying to like or do you kind of like price that in for, they're normally doing 100K views, but if we do a brand deal, they'll probably get like, half that amount. Is there like a
yeah,
thought process?
I definitely don't expect my videos to perform as well as their normal videos, because I typically go for a more like hard integration. Like, I don't want them to just subtly mention it. Like, I want them to make sure they're like really selling it. So yeah, I would expect the videos to get less views. But
Mm.
one thing that's nice again about partnering with these content creators, and like maybe they have less of a stake in the app if you don't really care about them being more than just an influencer. But then you don't really have to worry about any of that. You can kind of just be like, you know what, post as much as you want. Like, here's my expectations of how much you should be posting. But it becomes a lot simpler when you know that you're both in it together.
That's really true. I feel like we're it feels like we're kind of debating between equity or versus non-equity in terms of just purely the business model and, hey, is there ROI? But what people are not really thinking about is the business model changes just the human dynamic of the
Oh,
partnership.
definitely.
Like if they have equity, they're going to be more motivated, and the videos will do better.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I want to talk about this video for a second. So in this video, it looks like he goes,
stranded on my mountain bike, and it led to $1 million idea. It was my first time riding a trail, but it was getting dark fast and I had no clue where to go. So I checked out Trailforks to find a map, but got stuck on the sign-up screen because the app was so outdated. That's when it hit me. What if I just made a better ride tracking app for mountain bikers? As soon as I got home, I called up some friends and they said, we're in. Not only can you find and track trails, but you can compete against riders from all across the globe.
Yeah, so he started with like a very long intro, like storytelling, explaining the problem space, and then goes into like the actual features of the app.
Yeah, it's a really good hybrid of like strong hook, kind of like comparing your app to another app while mixing in like the founder story. He's like, you know what, like I built this, like this is my thing. So
Yeah.
I think this is a really good video.
Yeah.
Very impressed.
Okay, one thing that, like the business savvy thing is, I also feel like that's a relatively new concept in the like creator influencer world, because originally when Instagram came out and there were influencers, most people thought of influencers as people that do like basically beauty products and get ready with me and like dancing videos. And those people they're not the type of people that are like grinding to like build a business. They're kind of just like sharing their lifestyle and making some money from it, from brand deals here and there. Versus this type of creator, this guy, he has 100K followers, but the followers are very niche. They're about, mountain biking, which is like, he's providing like expertise, almost like expertise content or like expert content within this niche. So are there niches? Like, obviously this is a very good niche. Are there niches that you gravitate towards, or niches that you avoid when you're thinking about partnering with like expert creators like this?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I'd say like even when I'm building apps myself right now, like it's kind of an optimization problem where the larger app you build, there's going to be larger competitors is one thing. And there's going to be more people bidding for those eyeballs. Like if you were trying to compete with, in beauty fashion, there's a lot more people. So that's like the balancing factor. It's like a lot more people, but you're also competing with Kim Kardashian and all sorts of people that are, have these massive followings and lots of money to spend on their user acquisition. So I found like there's a good, and if you go too deep and you pick something that's like, an app that teaches dogs how to do handstands or something, like you're never going to find anyone that's going to pay for your app. But there is a good middle ground, and I tend to think of it like, okay, you got super broad, super niche. I go like right in the middle, and then I go like slightly more niche, and that's where I kind of try to build apps right now. Especially because my goal is to make apps that are somewhere between, 30 to maybe a couple $100,000 of revenue a month. That's like kind of my goal for the apps I'm building right now. I'm not trying to build something that's going to make $10 million a month right now, because I want to kind of train my skills a little bit more, learn more about the industry. While I do think like, maybe it's possible I could do it, it's just it'd be nice to have like the capital and like the confidence to build that. And also like as I've built more apps that are like kind of slowly scaling up, like I've met more people and I'm like, wow, this would be someone I would like absolutely love to partner with on like a larger project. And then I build like a slightly larger project, and in the process I meet someone else. I'm like, wow, this person would be super cool to build a project with too. And then next thing you know, like I'm operating with like all these people who are like, in the top 1% of their field. And it's like, I would love to work with any of these people on any of these projects, which I think is super cool. Yeah, I'd say like, especially for people who are trying to start out, trying to build an app, if you're trying to look for an influencer, like find something that's kind of niche. Like, this guy, Justin, has 100,000 followers on Instagram. Like, as far as the creator scale goes, like he's still a small creator. Like there's creators out there with, probably 100 million followers on Instagram. But you can see like he's still able to drive tens of thousands of downloads. Like that's going to be more than enough users for most people to be able to have an app that they consider successful in their eyes. Maybe like Disney is not going to reach out to this guy to build an app because like they're building massive things. But yeah,
That's a good like entrepreneurship framework in general too, because I feel like a lot of people start out with, okay, what do people want? Like build something that people want. But that's just too broad of a question. It's like you need to figure out, okay, what do people want that also has the level of execution risk that matches with my experience. So if you've never built a $30,000 a month business before, then why are you trying to build a $500,000 a month business that has like a ton of competition from all these like big players that have a lot of leverage already?
Yeah, that's definitely something that I like see a lot of, like being in San Francisco. Like there's so many people that are trying to build these massive companies. They go through Y Combinator and they're raising all this money and we're going to build a $10 billion unicorn. And I think it's kind of funny because these people are like, maybe they dropped out of college, maybe they're like just finished high school. Like they have they have no reason to believe they should do this besides confidence. And like that can get you really far. But I think like they would be so much more successful if they started off bootstrapping. Or maybe even just raising a small amount and building something that's like decent, It's like you don't have to go straight from like zero experience to building like the next Salesforce. Like you might as well start off, spend like a year or two, build something that makes enough money that, look, I never have to pay for food or rent or anything like that ever again. I learned all of this about negotiating, about optimizing these funnels. And then you can go and like build whatever you want because you have these connections, you have a lot of understanding.
That sounds like a great setup to me. Like you make some money, you never have to pay rent. You learned a bunch of stuff, learned how to build funnels. You built connections with people that you respect. Who cares if you didn't build a $1 billion company? Like maybe you can do it now. Like now that you've built this like really great business, that's cool. Like what in your journey led you to that conclusion where you decided like, hey, I actually want to build a business that is around this ambition level? Like what's your like motivation?
One thing that like is super, I guess I consider unique about the way that I operate is like I think I operate like very much like I don't really plan things, honestly. Like I pretty much never use a calendar for anything ever. I don't have like deadlines that I set for myself. I basically wake up in the morning, I'm like, I'm just gonna do what I think is the highest leverage thing. And there's a degree of like foresight. Like I'm not just like a lizard that can only think 30 minutes in the future, but it's definitely a lot of like I'm going to figure out what the highest leverage thing is in this like shorter time window. Like if you ask me what I'm doing 2 weeks from now or where I'll be in 2 weeks from now, I have no clue, no idea. Like that's not, I don't think that far ahead. So I'd say like I just see that as the highest leverage thing. I wouldn't say like I planned out like, okay, I'm gonna slowly upgrade my ambition levels for these companies, and I think it kind of just ended up that way based off of me deciding that was the highest leverage thing to do. Like when I first started building apps, it was purely out of just like I had an app idea for like some social event app that would you could post a pin on the map and anyone could see that pin, and like if you want to have a pickup basketball game, you put it on the map and like anyone nearby could come join you for that pickup basketball game. And I built that app, and then that I got to a point where I was like, all right, well, I like this app but I'm ready to start something new. And that first app got to maybe like a couple thousand a month, and then I built a second app and that got to like a couple 10-20,000 a month, and then slowly kind of just ended up that way rather than really planning it out.
That's interesting. Like the IRL map, like hang out with friends app. I feel like that's generally the first type of app that most entrepreneurs think of. It's like, what do I like to do? I like to hang out with friends. Okay, what's a software that I can use to make that easier? Okay, I'll make an IRL like friend hangout app. But you actually made
like
money with that, which is a little bit more uncommon. I feel like a lot of people ship those apps and then nobody downloads it.
No, that one never made money. That one, that was my first app.
Okay.
That was much more of a learning project.
Yeah.
But it gave me the confidence to build my next app that was able to make money.
Is that how you're thinking about this one too? I was looking at your app store profile, and this is the posture calisthenics app you're talking about.
Oh no, this is a different one. This is just a posture app.
Yeah.
Like targeted exclusively to posture. This app I honestly kind of built, but I immediately had another idea that I wanted to build right after, and I didn't spend the time distributing this. It's done maybe somewhere around $4,000 or $5,000 in revenue over the past couple months. So it's not like completely dead, but it is not as monetized as I think it should be. And I actually am talking with some influencers about like potentially making this app like curated for them. Like, there's like these little guys in the pictures and whatnot. I was like, you know what? Like, what if I find one of these influencers who has a couple million followers, and I just say like, hey, I'm gonna replace every single one of these guys with a picture of you doing the exercise, and we're gonna make this like your app, and you're gonna drive your couple million eyeballs to this, and like, you'll get an app pretty much that's finished, and I don't have to think about distribution for this because I don't really want to, because this, like I was saying with my like, I was kind of leveling up, like, oh, I did this app, and then this app was bigger, and this app was bigger. This one kind of just got caught in the middle of like an app that was bigger than this one right after, and it's like, well, all right, like, I guess I'm just gonna, like, it's like maybe not as high leverage, but
Right.
I really like this app. I think it's one of my favorite apps that I've built, honestly. I put a lot of time into like making these little random like quality features that like weren't super valuable, but it was fun to build.
Yeah. That's another like good application of the framework that we already talked about, which is like, think about what is the highest leverage thing I can do right now. And for this app, like the highest leverage thing you could do if you had nothing else to do would be to reach out to tons of influencers, find people who do posture videos, find people who do fitness videos, maybe partner with as an equity partnership with one of them, and then pay the rest, and then evolve the app. But because you don't want to do that and you have other ideas, like you don't want to just let it die. So what's the highest leverage thing for this specifically is to just like give a bunch of equity to like one influencer and like let them handle everything. And then you basically have to do nothing.
Oh yeah.
Like let them promote. Yeah. And you're not going to get
Like,
as much revenue out of it as you could, but you're not just like, letting it die.
Yeah, like I have two options here. It's like I let this sit here and make, some revenue. Or like if I gave away, I would be willing to give away like, who knows, like 60-70% of this app, because I'm not going to do anything with it. And like maybe they're able to bring in $10,000 of revenue a month. And it's like, all right, that's better than doing nothing with it. And it's like, there's always a lot of these. I think this is one thing that's like sunken costs, where it's like people are like, oh, but I built this app, like I'm not going to sell it, like I'll do something with it later. It's like, no, you're not going to do something with it later. Maybe you are, but probably not. So just figure out something to do with it that's high leverage, move on to the next thing. Yeah, like there's been people that I've reached out to and I see an app that I like on the App Store, because honestly, the same way like people will scroll on TikTok, Instagram, like I try not to do that. The highest leverage they could do for this app they haven't updated it in 2 years. it's not making any money. It's like, you should just sell it to me, but they're not going to, because they have some sort of sunken cost. Like, oh, I spent a couple months building it.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's like an art piece to them. In that case, totally justified. They like the app because they made it and they like how it looks. But a lot of the times, I think the best opportunity for those people should be like, just figure out what the highest leverage thing to do is, assuming you're going to go do something else.
Yeah. That's really good advice. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people have almost like a hoarder's mentality. I get stuck in this myself. Like, people offer to buy this or that or like partner, and I'm like, and then you like, the temptation is to maximize every single opportunity, so then you negotiate too hard, and then it just doesn't go through, and then later you're like, oh, actually it probably would have been better to have a win instead of like zero. Like, a small win is better than zero. Like, sure, you can try to optimize for the big win, but if the opportunity isn't right in front of you, like, kind of just, it's these small wins can compound.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like, okay, maybe for this app here, like if somebody offered me a couple $1,000s for it, like I'd have to really think, okay, like in a couple months maybe it would make that. But if they offered me like, $10,000 for this app, I would be like, you know what, like, why not? I'll sell that. It would give me some more capital to spend on influencers for future projects. Maybe I get like a Twitter post that goes viral that's like, I just sold this app. A lot of people, maybe that turns into like me being able to connect with somebody that is, someone I've been wanting to connect with. Who knows? And the alternative is like, I just like, potentially make that money over the next year. It's like, who knows? See if I can turn this into something that is worthwhile. So
yeah, I guess to close out, one thing you said is you scroll the app store to get inspiration. Are there any other habits or mindsets that you have day to day that you feel like give you good inspiration for ideas?
One thing, like I was kind of mentioning before, is like I like try to be as present as possible in any given moment. And it's become a habit at this point. I don't have to like actively like, oh, like I need to, whatever. It's like I'm not meditating constantly, but I think that allows me to, I'm like constantly thinking about the things I'm doing. Like, I'm not thinking about things I need to do. I'm not thinking about things I did in the past. Like, I'm just kind of like analyzing things. And then when new problems come up, I think I'm very aware of like this being a problem, and then deciding like, is this something that I think I'm interested in solving? I guess one way to describe it is like keeping like your horizon that you're looking at, like kind of vague and like hazy, in the sense that like, don't have your mind entirely set on what you're trying to do, and like don't just like march forward blindly, but instead, like, if you can kind of pay more attention to what you're actually like doing in your like more local environment, then it has a lot of benefits that a lot of people don't think about. They're way too focused on what next year's goal is. Like, think about like today's goal.
Thanks so much, Connor. This is a great talk. I learned a lot, and it was great to hear your thoughts on stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This is fun. I always like talking about this kind of stuff. It's like my passion. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, nice. Something you might not know, most of the founders I cover on this podcast are hanging out right now in the Consumer Club Discord, sharing with each other what's working now for consumer apps. So you can apply to join Consumer Club if that sounds interesting to you. And this is the Superwall podcast. Of course, you got to check out superwall.com. We have more videos on the channel, so dig into those to learn from app founders who are willing to share super tactical stuff about app growth.